All right. Is this a coincidence that on a very week that we do have the DOJ making a lot more progress, seizing trading records, seizing computers, serving warrants, search warrants from the FBI to some of the biggest short sellers that use illegal tactics or that may allegedly be using illegal tactics into some of the major highly shorted stocks, including AMC. Is that a coincidence that this very same week we also have bunch of hedge funds, the smartest one like Renaissance Technology, pretty much doubling their stake into AMC? I mean, we've seen many times the amount of so far that Q4 started, so far that we have the data, on the 13F filing from Q4, the last quarter of December. We can see that bunch of these guys were loading up, and I can expect to have a lot more people buying in a lot more shares of AMC. You know why? Maybe some of them are here just for the lending, fees. But the lending fees, because of interest rates increasing, that may be something that I would understand. But at the same time, as I always say, all these billionaires, all these hedge funds, they belong to a small circle. And within small circles, you always get tomorrow's data today, or tomorrow's data yesterday, meaning they already knew what the DOJ was about to do that we had today on these news outlets. They already knew what was coming on some of these short sellers way ahead of the average Joe on the street. So based on that, I think it wasn't a coincidence, or it's not a coincidence that they were charging on AMC stock. But on top of that, you also have the market conditions in 2022. It's going to be a lot more difficult. It's going to be a lot more difficult for, people to make a lot of money into the stock market, especially those with the big pockets. Why? Because the market has now shifted. It used to be your high growth, but with inflation, it's not going to be the case anymore. And that's why they look for the value. All right. They look for, okay, how can I buy this $100 share stock at $20 or $15 a share? Why? Because by doing a small analysis, by knowing and having the kind of inside information they have, they know that this stock is worth 100 or 200 or 500. How can I position myself in order to get it as low as possible? All right. So that is how exactly the Warren Buffett effect works. That's how Warren Buffett used to make a lot of money into the stock market. And so far, it's kind of what we call the oracle. Why? Because for some reason, he always makes a lot of money. But when he buys, it doesn't seem as if it's going to be a big bagger. Why? Because of, first of all, patience, and also research and due diligence analysis. So based on all these market conditions, I can guarantee you all of this money getting pumped into AMC, it's not just a coincidence. It is here before they know there's going to be a substantial upside potential and a lot of money to be made. Now, we have to be careful, because when the big boys buy, others follow the money. But also when they start dumping, that is when it can start creating a lot more emotional break for those of you who are not as strong or are used to having, getting a lot more pump and then putting back a little bit before going even higher. So we talked about that many times, but I still want to stress upon that because it's really important. Is it going to be around maybe 800 a share? Nobody knows. But we have to be smart and careful about how to handle this thing, especially when you start pumping to unimaginable highs. I'm just saying. All right.